The next speaker I want to introduce is Marija. She's basically a ZK OG, so I'm going to let her come in here, tell us all about ZK and what you're building. Marija, pleasure.
Thank you.
Jump on in, and you've got your clicker just here.
Okay. Okay. Just here? Yes. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marija, and I work as senior ZK researcher in the team 3227. Team 3227 is R&D department, and 3227 is a part of ETH 42 company, but also I work as assistant professor at Faculty of Mathematics in Belgrade, and I'm also head of the department for differential equation at the same faculty. And also, I'm co-founder of Mathematical Academy. Mathematical Academy is some kind of private school where we are working with talents in the field of mathematics, physics, and cryptography. And for example, last year, we organized, with cooperation with Ethereum Foundation, probably the first zero-knowledge proof course on Balkan. So let's start. Today's topic is elliptic curve pairing stealth address protocol. But first, okay. Can we go back? Sorry. Sorry, can we go back just? Not working. Back. Okay, thank you. So, we will speak today about private transactions. There are blockchains like Zcash and Monero that have some of cryptographic methods at their core that enable privacy of transactions. But also there is a great need to introduce private transactions on public blockchains such as Ethereum. When we talk about privacy of transaction, what we mean by that? We want to hide the amount of transaction, the address of recipient, and the sender address. But maybe we want to hide just one of three things. There are different ways to protect privacy of transactions, but probably the most important ones are zero-knowledge proofs, ring signatures, stealth addresses, and fully homomorphic encryptions. Today, we will talk about stealth addresses, and we want to hide the recipient address. So we want to add private transactions to the public blockchain, such as Ethereum. How can we do this? Well, we want to have this structure. We want to have the workflow that we have today. We have two people. Bob is receiver, and Alice is a sender. So Bob will generate some kind of meta address, okay? And he will send this meta address to the registry, or he will send it to Alice directly. Alice will do some computation, and after computation, she will send assets to Bob's new address. So Bob is able to control the assets and spend the money from this address. So we have here that everyone can go to the registry and everyone can send the money to Bob, and Bob will obtain new address. And all these addresses will be connected to Bob's meta address, but no one else except Bob will see this connection. How we can achieve this? We can use different cryptographic methods. For example, we can use Diffie-Hellman approach. Well, in order to send his stealth meta address to the registry, Bob will generate his pair of keys, private and the public one. He will add the public key in the registry. Alice will go to the registry and see the public key of Bob. And after that, Alice will generate her pair of keys, private and the public one. And Alice will send this public key to ephemeral public key registry. After that, Alice can do some computation, and she will calculate new address for Bob, okay? And Bob can calculate his address too. But how? Well, both of them will calculate this. This is a shared key. This is point on elliptic curve. And Alice will calculate this shared key as a result of multiplication of her private key and public key of Bob. But Bob will calculate this shared key as a result of multiplication of his private key and the public key of Alice. So both of them can calculate this shared key, but in different ways. If we want that this shared key be the public key for this stealth address, then both of them can spend the money from this address. So we need to include in the private key something that only Bob knows. So we will add here little m. What is little m? Little m is private key, Bob's private key for his stealth meta address, okay? So both of them can calculate share key, okay, and hash of share key, but only Bob knows little m, so only Bob has private key for this new address. We know that we obtain a public key as a result of multiplication of private key with generator point on elliptic curve. So this is public key, and both of them, Alice and Bob, can calculate this public key, and of course they will obtain the address as a result of hashing this public key. But we can add something else here. We can add one more key, and this key will be the viewing key. So what is viewing key? For example, if you have a tax inspector and you want to prove to your tax inspector that you pay all taxes for your all addresses, you can go and you can give this viewing key to your tax inspector, and he will be able to see all your stealth addresses, but he cannot control the assets from these addresses, okay? So in order that person who has the viewing key can calculate the addresses, we need to include this little v in calculation of shared secret, okay? So now private key knows only Bob, because here is spending key, and this is private key for Bob stealth meta address. But now this public key can be calculated by Bob, by Alice, and person who has the viewing key, okay? So we obtain that we can prove that we, for example, pay our taxes for all transactions. And we can add one more thing. We can add view tag. What is view tag? Well, when Alice wants to send the money to Bob, she will go to the ephemeral public key registry, and she will add her public key. But she can add 1 byte of shared secret in order that Bob can calculate his address in a faster way. So this is just for optimization, okay? And this is one approach. This is dual key stealth address protocol, and this protocol includes multiplication with elliptic curve point. So this is Diffie-Hellman approach, okay? But we can do this in a different way. We can use different cryptographic methods. Well, my colleague and friend Mihailo was researching this topic, and we create 2 new protocols: elliptic curve pairing stealth address protocol with single and with double key. And we will talk today about these protocols. But all these protocols that we talked before are not quantum resistant. So we want to research the protocols that are post-quantum. So we was researching, and we obtained 2 protocols: ring learning with errors stealth address protocol and module learning with errors stealth address protocols that are post-quantum stealth address protocols. And there are also a different approach. We can use fully homomorphic encryption in order to obtain this post-quantum property. So, what was our motivation to do this? Well, firstly, there was one blog that Vitalik wrote, and after that, there was a paper, Base Up, that was written by Bob, Tony, and others. And in their paper, they want to add one more layer of privacy to have private transaction on Ethereum. So they built this, and they use this elliptic curve, they use view tag, they use dual key stealth address protocol, so Diffie-Hellman approach, okay? But they also wanted to have different approaches. So they want to have schemes that use elliptic curve pairing, and they want also to have post-quantum schemes. So our motivation was a result of this paper. And now, we need to know more about elliptic curve pairings. So let's start. We have time. Okay. Well, we have bilinear pairing, and this is the subgroup, cyclic subgroup on elliptic curve. This is the second one, and this is some set of numbers. Okay. And we want to have this, and we want that this map has these three properties. But as a consequence of these properties, we will use only this one. So we just need to know that we have, this is point on elliptic curve, this is point. A and B are scalars, so we can commute these scalars, you see, okay? And we can obtain the result of pairing of 2 points on elliptic curve will be here, this pairing on the power of A multiplied by B. So let's start. I will talk today about dual key stealth address protocol based on pairing. We have two protocols, but I think that we don't have enough time to go through, but our paper is public, so you can search and you can read more about this. So we have the recipient, Bob. What Bob needs to do, Bob will generate two pairs of keys, the private key, little k, and the public key. He obtained public key as a result of multiplication of generator point on the second subgroup on elliptic curve, okay? And this is the viewing key, and he will obtain big V as a result of multiplication little v with generator point on first subgroup on elliptic curve. So here is important that the spending key, we will multiply it with generator point on second subgroup, but here the viewing key and the public key of Alice, we will obtain as a result of multiplication generator point from the first subgroup on elliptic curve. So when Bob generates his pair of keys, he will add public keys in this registry, like we had before. And the sender, or Alice, will go to the registry. She will find the public keys, and also she will generate her pair of keys. And after that, she will calculate Bob's new address, and Bob's new address, public key of new address, will be result of pairing, okay? But also, Alice will send to the registry a public key and the share key, 1 byte of share key, as we had it before. This is the viewing tag, okay? And Bob will calculate his address through, and the private key for this address will be result of multiplication numbers in the field little k and little v, and little k, only Bob knows little k, so this is safe. And how Alice can calculate the public key of the address? Well, Alice knows private key. This is her private key, and this is from the registry. Bob sent to the registry, and on this way, Bob and person who has the viewing key can calculate the address, okay? So they calculate address in a different way, like we had when we calculate the address using share key, but now we have different approach, okay? And we have one more protocol. What is important here, just to mention, that we have one key, just one key, and from this one key we will obtain the viewing key and we will obtain spending key. So we have two keys, but from one key, okay? And this protocol is a result of mixing protocols that we had before. So result of pairing, we use here pairing, but also we have share key and hashing, so mixing. And we already implemented this stuff, and we want to compare it with results of dual key sub. So this red is not good, and this is our elliptic curve pairing single key protocol. But this is our elliptic curve pairing dual key stealth address protocol, and we obtain the better results, the best results than dual key stealth address protocol without pairing, okay, with Diffie-Hellman approach. So we obtain the best results using this approach, and I think that is it for today. Thank you.
Time for a question, so who here wants to jump in and ask Marija a question? Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Put you on the spot here, Petri. I'm sorry, man. Any questions there? Someone? Yes, thank you so much, Marija. Honestly, what a pleasure.